Welcome to the Arsenal Tottenham Fan Podcast. Yes, this is the first episode past 50 for Rick and I. Rick, does that make you proud?
Oh man, I tell you, I posted our 50th podcast on Instagram, and we got lots of hits. So thank you to everybody that responded. But we couldn't do it without you guys. So we appreciate everyone that listens. Everyone, for sure.
Absolutely. On the 51st episode of the Arsenal Tottenham Fan Podcast, we are going to talk about Arsenal's win over Leeds. We're going to talk about the 1-1 draw between Spurs and the Toffees. Then we will try to figure out what date there will be for the death or funeral for Tottenham season. Then after that, we'll preview the upcoming week in the Premier League. Rick, how does that sound?
I didn't see that on the agenda. The definitely. What the hell's going on, man?
Oh man, so if we'll do that, we'll talk about Leeds Arsenal.
Yeah,
I guess kind of the good before the bad, so to speak. As far as this podcast goes. So coming off the international break, we had talked about how Leeds could be kind of a trap game for Arsenal in that there's a trip to Anfield the following weekend. Arsenal didn't have much time to prepare because of all the players going off to international duty. Leeds in the relegation zone, a home game. So a game that I think would be easy for Arsenal to overlook. And the way that they came out, you might have to say, as a fan, you had to wonder in the first few minutes if that was the case. I know I did. I'm sure a lot of Arsenal fans did. Got the day, or in our case, morning started by watching Manchester City and Liverpool.
Oh my God, I watched that whole game.
I did too.
Wow,
and
great game.
It did not make me feel good.
They are really turning it on. It made me feel good.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, it's like you got the giant closing in on you. Every 3 steps you're looking over your shoulder, and I mean, the morning started. Hey, Haaland's not going to be in the lineup. Liverpool is sort of a bogey team for them. You're like, hey, this might be the chance for Arsenal to get a little breathing room here. And, man, Liverpool scored the first goal. I was like, yes, this would be a great day. And then Man City just brushed them aside.
How crazy is it, though, if we don't have Haaland in the team and it doesn't make a blip on the radar? Nothing.
I mean, they just
tells the story right there.
I mean, they just brushed them off like you brush a fly off your desk.
They were playing Liverpool, Cal, and it looked like an exhibition match in the second half.
It wasn't even a game. I mean, it wasn't even a game, and so that kind of put, for me, kind of an ominous tone on the Leeds match. Then the lineups are released, and there's no Saka in the starting lineup. And you're like, well, we knew there wasn't going to be any Saliba, so that's a concern. But I have to say, I looked at the Leeds lineup, and there's no Rodrigo and no Bamford.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so are they just giving up? Do they not want to win? I mean, I couldn't believe that they didn't have either player in the starting lineup, but they didn't. And then, the ominous omnicity. Is that a word? I'm going with it. I'm going with the omnicity of the beginning of the match. And Ramsdale has to make a save inside 10 seconds. I mean, it looked like Bournemouth. They did a routine off the kickoff, and um, Ramsdale's got to make a save, and you're like, holy crap! Let's not get off to this kind of start. And then, you know, 2 minutes later, Xhaka goes down. He's bumped in the box. It wasn't a penalty, but the nature of the game was just end to end, and it certainly didn't look like a game that Arsenal was going to control, even though after maybe 15 minutes, Arsenal kind of settled down into their normal game and then controlled the match from that point on. In the 11th minute, Jesus headed over from a Xhaka cross. I've seen him getting a lot of stick for missing that header, but to me, it looked a little high. So I think he had a hard time getting over top of the ball to get it on frame, but still a nice effort. From
He made
the
up for it. He made up for it with his dive later on, but we'll get into that later.
So from the 11th to 25th minute, I mean, we were just, we were moving the ball a little slower than we normally do. We had the ball, so Leeds wasn't particularly threatening, but we were moving it too slow to really create any gilt edge scoring opportunities. And, Zinchenko, while he has been a revelation for us, when we get moving the ball slow, he's not very patient. He wants to attack. And what that leads to is him giving the ball away when we're going through those periods of when we're moving the ball slow. So when we're moving it fast, he's really good at picking out the open space and getting the ball into it. When we're playing slow and there's no open space, he's still trying to make the perfect pass, but there's a lot less space for him to make that pass into, and it just turns into him giving the ball up. And that happened 3-4 times in the first half where he just gave the ball away, and that kind of killed any momentum or any possession that we had at that time. In the 29th minute, Ramsdale made a really good save from Somerville, and Somerville had a really good game for Leeds.
It's a good player.
Yeah, he is a good player, and he was moving well across the pitch. He had the ball and was able to keep it. Really good dribbler, and I kept wondering what he would have been able to do had he had somebody else other than Aronson out there to help him. Maybe a Bamford or a Rodrigo may have made him a little more effective, but thank goodness they weren't out there. And then in the 31st minute, Ramsdale had to make another save. So early on, Ramsdale was, I guess, kind of keeping us in. Now, none of these were incredible saves where, you can't believe he got to the ball, but they were still saved from shots in the box. And, I don't want to say we were looking shaky, but, we were being aggressive in getting into the other end of the pitch. And when that happens, and, we also didn't have Saliba, not that I'm pointing the finger at Holding because he played okay. But, we've given up more goals at home than on the road. And I think we play a little more aggressive style at home. We've scored a lot more goals at home than we have on the road. But I think that means we tend to give up more shots, and that's what was happening. Then in the 32nd minute, Luke Ayling hacked down Jesus. How Jesus was able to get up from that is beyond me.
Good Lord.
You can see that Jesus must be one of the strongest people on the planet to be able to absorb that blow
Okay.
and still
Well,
and still get up and take the penalty.
okay. Hang in there, folks. I can't wait till we get to the Harry Kane incident in the next segment. If Jesus got pummeled with that challenge, my word.
so, yeah, Jesus, Ailing kind of went on him. When I think it was Ailing, it might have been another player, went in a little early on him earlier in the move, and Jesus didn't go down. And then Ailing slides in. When you slide in the box,
Yeah, it's up for grabs.
yeah, I mean, and he hit him on the knee. Did the impact knock him down? Who knows? But, you know, there's no way that VAR is going to overturn it when VAR sees contact. I mean, they can't.
Yeah, no, there was contact. I mean,
Yeah.
but I don't even know if minimal is the apt description for that either. You know?
It wasn't, let's say it wasn't a lot of contact,
Yeah, okay.
and interestingly enough, uh, so Odegaard is holding the ball on the spot. And I'm like, well, Odegaard, because Saka takes our penalties and Saka wasn't in the game. So I thought Odegaard's going to take it. And I felt relatively comfortable with that because Odegaard would be a good penalty taker. And then he had handed it to Jesus. And I must admit, I said, oh shit. Jesus has a poor penalty record.
Okay.
Before he took that, he had taken 12 penalties and scored 5. That ain't good. you know, so, we've talked about him underperforming his XG. There's a lot of your XG underperformance right there. And let's be honest, that wasn't exactly the most convincing penalty I've ever seen. I mean, he did the stutter step run up, which I hate, but
They
he
should
did it.
outlaw that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
The stutter step and when the players crowd the penalty spot,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
The referee, there should be like 10 seconds, and the referee should stand there and just go like this. And if
I'm with you.
you're still there in 10 seconds, book, 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 book. I don't care if there's 10 players there, book all of them. You got 10 seconds to get out of here.
I'm with you 100%. I am with you 100%. And to me, you got to run up and kick the damn thing. The stutter step, because, technically you're supposed to keep your momentum going. I can't remember the penalty that I saw maybe a week or so ago. For some reason, I was thinking it was Jorginho, but maybe not. I can't remember. But this guy took a penalty and he did the stutter step. Was it maybe Kai Havertz? I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, I think it was Kai Havertz. And if he kept his momentum going, I didn't see it. And he didn't get called. A referee is never going to call that. They
call the
are
goalie though if the goalie steps off the line.
if he moves too early. So I'm with you 100%. Run up, kick the damn thing. But anyway, so he did it. He put it down the middle. Very, very fortunate, I think. But, once it was 1-0 and Leeds had to chase the game, that was all she wrote. And we came out in the second half and, put the game to bed 1 minute into the second half. Martinelli played the ball down the left, great crossover, and Ben White tapped it home. I don't know if you've seen a highlight of the goal or not, but Martinelli kind of did a juke move, went to the end line, and White was at the far post, and he kind of was making the run up on the fullback, and he put his hand up, kind of, hey, I'm going to the far post. Now, I've seen that goal from ground level, and I don't think there was any way Martinelli could have seen him because Martinelli was making a move, and the penalty box was pretty crowded. But, when you're in that position, you're kicking it to a place. And, the far post is an ideal place on the 6. And that's where he put it, right on a plate for Ben White. And give Ben White all the credit in the world. First of all, he side-footed it in off the bar. And you love a goal going in off the bar because kind of the way that it ricochets around in the back of the goal kind of gives you a little more time to celebrate it,
Sure.
which was a lot of fun. And supposedly the reason Saka wasn't in the lineup is that he was sick, and then there was an illness going through the camp again, and Ben White was also sick, and because we had no William Saliba, we had no Tomiyasu, Ben White had to play. And I can't remember who was doing the game in England, but during the warm-ups, Ben White came off the field, and they were like, oh, there's Ben White going off the field. And they were acting like maybe it was some kind of issue. He had some issue with the team, or there were dissension in the camp, and it was really dysentery in the camp. Is why he was going off the field to take care of some personal business. But anyway, yeah, I don't know if it was dysentery or not. I was just making that up, but it was some type of stomach bug going around, and he was going off the field to let's say get some treatment for that.
Unlike Gary Lineker in Italia '90, who did not go, he just shit his pants on the field.
Well, that might have had to do with who he was guarding too, but in the 54th minute, Jesus again gets his brace, and kind of a long distance 1-2 with Trossard. Really nice goal. He played a really good pass into Trossard. Fizzed it in there to him, and Trossard was inside the box. And I heard, I can't remember which podcast that I heard this on, and I apologize to the folks that said it, but the fella said that some goals are skill and some goals are desire, and this was really a desire goal because Jesus placed the ball to Trossard from right at the edge of the box, maybe a little outside the box, but right at the edge of it, and then busts his tail to the near post, and just goes right by his marker. And we had the ball, so it's a crowded penalty box. It's like running through folks at the mall.
Yeah.
It's a big shopping day. There's a lot of people there. Sometimes you just don't want to make your way through that crowd of people. And to his credit, he took off past his marker and ran right into the crowd of people and made space for himself to get through there. And Trossard just cut it back. He kind of did a move, kind of feinted inside, then went outside, then cut it back, and just happened to be perfectly in Jesus' pass. But there are a lot of center forwards who would have watched that ball being cleared as they stood at the penalty box line. But he won't stand in there. He was breaking toward the goal, and all of a sudden he had a relatively easy finish, and he just put his laces through it for his second goal. And now I'd like to give some flowers to Trossard. What a signing! What
It's
a
a good buy,
signing!
man. It's a good buy. What, 20 mil, 27?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what to think. And, we talked about Mudryk a little bit, and, that Mudryk wouldn't have been ready to contribute a whole lot to Arsenal's run in, but he was more of a buy for the future. But if you're not going to do that, make a buy for the present. And Trossard has been amazing. Do you know that if you only counted his assists since he was bought by Arsenal, he would be, I think, third in the league in assists. Right now, he leads the league. He's got 7 assists since we bought him. That's more than like 14 teams. It's incredible. I mean, so he's been really a revelation for us. In the 59th minute, we brought Saka on for Jesus. We brought Jorginho on for Partey. And clearly those were to save Jesus and to save Partey. Because without Partey, we have no chance at finishing first. And we need Jesus to finish first too. So, and bringing Saka on, was he sick? Was he not sick? There's some debate in the camp on that. Was he rested because he played almost all of 2 international fixtures over the break? Only Mikel Arteta knows for sure, I suppose. But after that, Ramsdale had a nice save from Aronson in the 63rd minute. In the 75th minute, Leeds scored. I mean, a goal out of nothing. And one day I am going to track all the goals that go off a defender who turns his body sideways
Yeah.
when he's facing the shot.
Well, you might need a calculator.
It's incredible. I mean, I used to, well, and I don't remember who it was, but I've seen videos of baseball coaches. So, the little leaguer gets in the box and he's just freaking scared to death. And the pitch comes in and it's on the inside corner and he goes diving out of the way of it. And then the coach gets the pitching machine out and lets the ball hit him right in the chest. Turns the pitching machine on, stands right there and thump.
Well, there was a not to get sidetracked, but there was a cricketer, a similar story years ago called Brian Close. And in cricket, you can bowl what they call a bouncer. So
Right.
when you deliberately bowl the ball to land at about a foot in front of the batsman, so that it deliberately bounces up towards the body or the face, which makes it harder to hit. Brian Close was a player. A lot of players would duck and dive out of the way. Brian Close would just stand there and let the cricket. And the cricket ball's like a brick.
Right.
He would let the ball just hit him on the chest or the shoulder. It was crazy. He rarely dived out of the way. It was kind of his way of saying to the bowler, the middle finger,
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, come on, guys. You're getting paid a lot of money. Take it into chest. Take it into chest, stop the shot. But anyway, Zinchenko turned sideways right off the hip or the side into the goal. Ramsdale had no chance. So then, you got a young team. You're 3-1. Man City is hovering over you like the sword of Damocles. What do? Do you pack it in, say 3-1's enough, or do you attack them? One of the things we said to look for with Arsenal was going to be, do they show confidence? Do they play their game? Or do they back off and try to protect? And credit for Arsenal, they kept attacking and they scored the fourth. And it came from, Saka, to show you his influence on the game and how important it is. He has the ball and takes it down to the touchline. There are 4 Leeds guys chasing him down there. And he plays it back to Odegaard, and Odegaard crosses it for Xhaka, and there's nobody in the penalty box because they're all on the end line with Saka, and give Xhaka credit for a headed goal. And he has 7 goals this year.
I was going to say, I mean, he's eating his Wheaties, man. It's the transformation, I mean, it kills me to say it. It's phenomenal, really is. It's phenomenal.
It's incredible. He scored 4 in a row, and he scored for Switzerland over the international break.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a guy who has resurrected his career. And you've got to give him so much credit for that. And you got to give some credit to Mikel Arteta for believing in him. And what do all great coaches do? All great coaches put their players in the best positions for them to succeed.
Did I? Oh, I thought the greatest coaches just ripped on their players, torched the building, and then pissed off.
No, they don't do that. They put them in the best place to succeed. And, Arteta's done that with Xhaka, and give full credit to both of them. So a 4-1 win for Arsenal. Fantastic win. Take a quick look at the stats. Arsenal had 13 shots, 11 in the box, and Leeds had 7 shots with 6 in the box.
Well, Leeds must have been watching must have been doing their videos, because they almost got you from the kickoff, just like Bournemouth did a few weeks ago.
Yeah. That's right. That's what we talked about. Ramsdale had to make a save in the first 10 seconds.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Arsenal had 6 of the 13 shots on target. Leeds had 5 of their 7 shots on target. So Ramsdale with 4 saves. And I think one thing is interesting too with this. If you remember earlier in the year, we were comparing Arsenal and Tottenham. And Tottenham weren't taking many shots, but those shots were very high in quality. And Arsenal were taking a lot of shots, but those shots were not high in quality. What we've seen over the last few games is Arsenal hasn't been taking as many shots, but those shots have been extremely high in quality. So much so, Arsenal came out of this game with 3.78 xG, which when you get to 4 xG, that's a lot. Arsenal had 67% possession, and their field tilt was 72. So anytime you've got a field tilt over 70, you're mauling your opponent. This makes the 7th time in the Premier League Arsenal has scored 4 or more goals. Arsenal has only been shut out twice this year, which is the fewest of any team in the league. And this was Arsenal's 7th straight win since we got beat by Man City, and it's the first 7-game win streak in the league this year.
Well, that City game coming up, that's in April, right? That's this month, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, that's shaping up to be the game of the season right now.
Well, okay. So Arsenal have an 8-point lead, but Manchester City has a game in hand.
Yeah.
So Arsenal has a 5-point lead. And Arsenal has to go to Man City. So it's easy to think of that as a 2-point lead. Arsenal has to win every game between now and Man City.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, if Arsenal do not win every game between now and Man City, if Man City beats Arsenal at the Etihad, that could put them in front of us with 4 games, 5 games to play. So, this is a tight game, or tight race right now, even though Arsenal have an 8-point lead. Player of the game, Gabriel Jesus. He had 2 goals. And here is an interesting stat on Gabriel Jesus. And one reason that Arteta took him out early and wants to keep him healthy, and this came from Tyler at TMFTBL on Twitter, that Arsenal is 15-1-1 when Jesus plays. So if you only took the games that Jesus played, Arsenal would be 6th in the table with 11 games in hand.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Brutal.
So I didn't have it. I only could see bits and pieces of the Tottenham Everton game.
Just one quick side for you guys.
Okay.
I think Arsenal did a little bit of a remembrance for Rocky for David Rocastle on Saturday.
I did not know that, but that is awesome.
I couldn't believe it's been 22 years since he passed away.
Unbelievable.
That is crazy. That is really crazy.
And I think I was listening to the Handbrake Off podcast, and Adrian Clark and Amy Lawrence were talking about Saka. And they had mentioned that how a lot of maybe the former players were comparing Rocastle and Bukayo Saka, because they both were not only exceptional players, but they are exceptionally humble and great people.
Well, David's whole family is like that. Everyone, his brother Stephen, everyone, they're just really down to earth people. I mean, just really nice.
Right. Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Tottenham game, Cal. I used to go. There used to be a pub down where I grew up in a place called Peckham, and we would go down there, and there would be a guy, and he'd be on the stage, and he had a piano, and it was a rowdy pub, drinks flying around everywhere and what have you, and he'd be on the piano, and he would say before he started a song, "Stop me if you've heard this one before." So, with that said,
I'm not going to stop you, even though it wasn't that long ago when we saw this before.
We ended the international break against a team in a relegation zone who couldn't score a goal if you gave them a compass to point them in the direction of the goal, right? And we conceded 3 goals to them. The last 15 to 20 minutes of that game against Southampton was what sent Conte over the top.
Yeah, and understandably so.
And out the door, right? Mm-hmm. So on last week's podcast, I said, this is the player's chance to prove him wrong.
That's right.
Right? This is down to the players now to get out there and win, but win convincingly. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so that Harry Kane does the post-match interview and says, we're a different team, we're confident. None of that materialized.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, everything that happened last night only just reinforced what Conte said.
You know what I was going to title the podcast?
Go on.
Conte left, but he was right.
Yeah. I feel a blog coming on.
Wow.
I mean, it was, a shambles to say the least. Really disappointing. The lineup, Lloris got back in the lineup.
Other than, sorry to interrupt, other than, a shaky moment with the ball at his feet, actually was pretty solid, I thought.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. For the most part, his some of his distribution was a little bit shaky, but then first
Mm-hmm.
game back, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
to be expected. The right choice over Forster, yeah, sure. Lloris is the number one goalkeeper,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, Same formation, 3-4-3. What were we expecting anything different, though? I mean,
Well, that you called it in the last podcast.
right, the guy, I'm not trying to knock Stellini, but he's been, molded not just at Tottenham, but at other teams with Conte. Why would we
Mm-hmm.
expect anything different
Right.
in the lineup and the mentality and the way that the players play? Um,
Mm-hmm.
that said, the first 15 to 20 minutes, Tottenham were looking okay. Nothing
Mm-hmm.
outstanding. There were some beautiful cross-field passes, diagonals from Porro and Romero out to Perisic. I mean, just beauties. Looped right over the defense, and Perisic whipped in some great crosses. And I said to my son at the time, Perisic better get those in there now. We better score now because he's not making 90 minutes. But he
Right.
did. But he did
Yeah.
make 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But I'm pretty sure they would have had to get a wheelbarrow to get him off the pitch after that, though. Right. But fair play to him. Um, but the first 20 minutes or so, yeah, it looked okay. And if you were a neutral, it was probably a watchable game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you Nothing spectacular, but watchable. You got a team at the bottom of the league playing a team that's really just fighting for some pride, which
Mm-hmm.
they lost basically. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the incidents really, the Decore incident with Kane and whatever is really the highlights of the game.
Yeah.
That and the Everton goal right at the end.
Yeah.
Um,
And
the 1-1 was probably deserving overall
mm-hmm.
at the end of the game, but I mean, 10 men and we still couldn't take advantage of that.
Got to be hugely frustrating. And, to talk about the incident just a little bit. And I know that there's, a lot of focus on the Core, justifiably. I know that there's a lot of focus on Kane. Did he dive? Did he draw him into it? Something that I haven't heard talked about. And um, I want to mention on behalf of Harry Kane, not my favorite player, but that was a 50-50 ball. And Harry Kane stuck his foot in there like he was 100% committed to winning it.
Mm-hmm.
And if the other 10 Tottenham players had played like that, maybe that game would have turned out different.
Yeah,
But go back and look at it. I mean, that ball is right between them, and Harry Kane sticks his foot in a place where Decore could have smashed it. And then they take Kane off in a stretcher,
yeah,
and he won't pulling out of that challenge at all.
no,
And he used it to create the emotion, in Decore to get Decore to swing at him.
yeah,
It was 100% I am better than you and I am tougher than you challenge.
yeah. For a couple of things, you make a good point. Kane didn't do anything different than what any other player does every week in the Premier League, the Championship, and League One, League Two, anywhere. Right? He didn't really do anything different. Right? In that
Mhm.
challenge, like what the way you're talking, right? In that challenge,
Uh-huh.
when I first watched when Decore reached out, it looked like a punch, right? When I saw it in
Uh-huh.
slow motion, I was like, "Come on, Harry, what are you doing, mate? Get up off the floor!"
Uh-huh.
Right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Then later that night, when I was reading the reports and stuff on my phone, and you saw
Uh-huh.
photos of it, I don't know if you've seen those. if you see the photos, Decore actually knew what he was doing. He's got
Uh-huh.
his thumb and his
What?
finger right inside Kane's eyes.
You're kidding.
No. So
Oh,
my
wow.
reaction was the same as everybody's, like, why'd you do this, guys? You know we're gonna watch this on video, right? Get
Uh-huh.
up off the floor. Like you're going about
Right.
like you've been hit by a steamroller. That was my same reaction, right? But then when I saw the photos, I was like, okay, that that's a little bit different. You could see, go
Mhm.
look at the photos. It's totally different. He's like
Okay.
right in there on his like where he's reached out of his hand and then dug in to Kane's eyes.
Right.
It's
Okay.
pretty gruesome.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but I mean, Harry Kane has done that innumerable times in his career.
Sure.
And, you know, Decore has got to know that Harry Kane is going to try to sucker him into something. You've got to know it, you
Yeah.
know. So I put it on him. Now, you know, I'm not a big Harry Kane fan, and that's one of the reasons. You know, I mean, he does shit like that, and you know, ill befitting the English captain. Let's say that. But you know, he's also trying to win. I mean, I have a lot more respect for a player when they stick the foot in first and do that after than freaking Bruno Fernandez from Man City, who's going to pull out of that challenge and then try to draw the fake punch
Sure.
to get the guy thrown out.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. I
know,
mean, Kane elicited the punch by pulling on him and getting
that's
feisty
right.
with him for sure. Um,
That's right.
but the Oscar winning, whether it's Kane or anyone, it just drives me mad when they just hit the deck like that. It's like
That's a fact.
the optics are terrible. You know,
Well, they
like
are.
what was his name? Sanchez or Suarez at Arsenal. Alexis Sanchez
Oh yeah.
at the throw in when they threw the ball at him and
Uh-huh.
he fell down like he'd been hit over the head by a sledgehammer. It's
well,
like, we're going to watch this tonight on video. I mean, are you serious?
well,
You know?
the thing is, the player has to think, "Oh, he just hit me in the face," and that causes a delayed reaction.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so
I mean,
so
Decore was going off no matter what.
well, he don't go off if Harry Kane doesn't fall down.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, he
I
does.
what
I
we
think he
know
does.
about what what we know about Premier League officials is they ain't going to make a call unless they have to make a call. So if
Yeah.
Kane doesn't go down, he doesn't have to make a call because he said, "Yeah, he hit him, but it was no big deal because it didn't knock him down."
There's very
When
few
Kane
players that do that, though.
Yep. But when Kane goes down, he makes the ref make a call. The ref has to say, okay, he hit him hard enough to be a red card, or he didn't hit him hard enough to be a red card. Harry Kane doesn't bail out the official. He makes that official make a call.
Yeah.
You know, you can criticize Decore because he gave him an opportunity to make a call, but
Regardless, it's
Harry
still
Kane,
moved by Decore.
and and that's why Kane goes down. He goes down to force the call.
Yeah.
And Harry Kane don't care if he looks like, um, if he looks like a weak, you know, a weak faker or whatever, as long as he gets the call. The only
Well,
thing Harry Kane cares about is winning the game.
these guys live in moments, right? It's like this week. You'll forget last week when you got this week's game coming up.
That's right. All he cares about is winning the damn game.
Yeah.
And he don't care what you say about him. And that's how people get to be Harry Kane. you know.
Yeah.
is you have you
It's a
have that
different mental
drive.
attitude, right?
That's exactly right. That
It
is
really, yeah,
exactly right.
I agree. It really is. Yeah, and that's your South Americans, right? That's
That's a fact.
at all costs. You know what I
At
mean?
all costs. That is it. That is it.
Or if you're an
So
ex-Arsenal player like Thierry Henry playing for France against Ireland, you just literally save the ball with your hand and don't say anything, and Ireland don't qualify. You can be dishonest like that. That's an ex-Arsenal player. We'll move on.
yeah. Uh, yeah. So Kane buries the penalty. You had to think that he and Pickford had squared off in penalties in many situations
Yeah, and Pickford tried to
in
put
the
him off.
England cap.
Pickford tried to put him off
Yeah,
when he was standing by the penalty spot. Kane didn't. Again, look, this is a guy who missed the penalty against France, came back to the Premier League, and continued playing and scoring goals like nothing had happened. That's what we just spoke about, his mental
that's
attitude.
right.
You
That's
know what I
right.
mean? Yeah.
And yeah, and
If the
you
rest of
know,
the players had that, we wouldn't be in this predicament, to be quite honest.
you're exactly right, and that's what I said. If the rest of the rest of the Tottenham players had gone into that game like Harry Kane went into that challenge, Tottenham would not have drawn that game.
So look,
So
1-0 up, man. This is now it's game management, right?
that's right,
I
and
mean,
you got 11 on 10. Do you go for the goal to kill it,
yeah.
or or do you protect the 1-0?
No, you go for the goal to kill it
That's right.
all day long.
That's right. That's right.
So, I I will tell you this right now. After I watched that game yesterday or last night,
Mhm.
um, I think I said on this podcast that after the Sheffield United game was probably the most disappointed I'd felt all
Mhm.
season.
Mhm.
Last night was probably worse
I let me tell you, I
because
totally get it.
it really just solidified that you guys are a bunch of wankers.
Yeah, no
I'm
question.
serious.
I
I
mean,
mean,
no.
you guys all of what Conte said. And look, Conte said some things that were right, that were wrong. He didn't put himself in the
Mhm.
spot. Totally wrong.
Mhm.
It's you. The reason that these guys are playing like this is partly your fault too, for the system that you created and the mentality that you created with them.
Mhm.
So he is to blame, but he's gone, kind of,
Mhm.
because Stellini's still there. Um, but these guys, look, you got 68 minutes into the game, we're 1-0 up, right?
Mhm.
You've got Lloris, World Cup winning captain, the captain of Tottenham, Harry
Mhm.
Kane, the captain of England, right?
Mhm.
Højbjerg, who's been the captain of Denmark.
Mhm.
Um, who else you got? You got Romero, who's a World Cup winner,
Mhm.
right? I mean, just those four, right? We can't find any leadership in the team for
I
somebody, one of those four to step up and say, hey, okay, let's get our shit together here, guys. We've got 20 minutes to play it out. Let's get another goal and finish the game off because this is Everton. There's no way they come back and we win if it's 2-0.
These guys don't wanna play for 4th.
No, they
They
don't.
don't care.
These
They
guys,
don't.
these guys, last night, really seemed like last night, prior to the break and what have you, you could say, oh, we're still fourth, and, we still are. It's unbelievable.
I know.
Isn't it? Um,
It
you
is.
can put it down to whatever, World Cup BS or anything like that. But last night, after everything that's gone on, Cal, after everything, you still walk out on the pitch and deliver that performance.
Yeah.
It's a number of things. It's either you don't give a toss, you've got no confidence, there's no mental stamina there, and there's no leadership anywhere, not just the team, on the bench, in the management, anywhere. None.
Somebody needs to give these guys something to play for. They don't have they don't care about finishing fourth. They
No,
don't.
no, no. It didn't seem
Levy
like it.
cares about Levy cares about finishing fourth.
Well,
These guys do not care about finishing fourth.
well,
And Tottenham ain't going to finish fourth because these guys, if they finish seventh, that's fine. If they finish ninth, that's fine. If they finish third, that's fine.
yeah. So, well,
You know, they don't care.
let me give you the fluffy stats, and then I'll give you the damning stats.
Okay.
So, Kane's 14 goals against Everton in his last 11 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's a funny one too. He's got 9 headed goals this season, which is a record that equals Duncan Ferguson's, who used to play for Everton.
Wow.
Right?
Oh, I
So
remember Duncan Ferguson, of course.
he was a nutter. He was mad. He was mad. He was.
Oh my God.
Now as a player, you could not in any way, shape, or form say that he was not committed.
I was going to say, like, the way that the Premier League is now letting physical play on corner kicks and set pieces. Can you imagine the people that he would have wiped out on
Well,
corner kicks and set
I
pieces
mean,
under the rules that they're playing today?
he was like, playing in the 80s and 90s, but he was a throwback to like when I was watching football growing up in like the 70s and early 80s, where players, if you they were running, you nipped at their heels, they would literally stop, turn around, and launch one right at you. You know what I mean? And Ferguson was like that. It was great. But even, it just sidetracking here, but even when he coached Everton for a while.
I
And
remember.
he was Everton. I mean, he was Scottish, right? But he loved Liverpool. I remember when Everton scored and they won a game, and he picked up the ball boy and ran around with the ball boy. You know what I mean? So anyway, overall we had 61% of the possession, but this is what I want to share, right? This is how bad we were. So 68th minute onwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is when we're 1-0 up.
Mm-hmm.
Inside the last 15 minutes. Touches in the box. Everton 13, Tottenham 3.
Wow.
Right? Touches in the final third. Everton 79, Tottenham 22.
Oh my God.
This is when we're 1-0 up and 15 minutes to go. Shots on target, Everton 6, Tottenham 3. Possession, Everton 52%, Tottenham 48%.
Wow.
Right, that is the last 15 to 20 minutes of this game. That's terrible. I mean, they just completely capitulated. We did what we've done all season, was we scored, we're 1-0 up, went into our shell, and invited the opposition to come onto us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we defended on the 18-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And when we did that, we've been caught out by that. Well, in Arsenal and Partey, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what happened last night with Keane?
Wonder strike. I mean, he'll never
don't
do
get
that
me wrong.
again the rest of his life.
Great goal. But he had acres of real estate to do it in.
That's what I wanted to point out, is that, I mean, you're in an 11-man behind the ball situation almost playing. And still there's nobody there to block that shot or to put him off.
No, well, what you spoke about earlier on, if you watch that, if I'm recalling right, Dyer, brutal guy, just freaking brutal he is. Eric Dyer. When that shot's taken, again, great shot, but Eric Dyer, hands behind his back and turning sideways on the shot.
Oh, God.
All right? So you can add that one to your list, pal.
Oh, God.
But we invited it. That I was sitting, you could have been dropped out of the sky and sat there and watched that game for the last 15 minutes and gone, oh, these guys in the blue are going to score for sure. Yeah. any minute now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they showed in the last 15 to 20 minutes what we didn't have. And
Yeah.
that was
Well, yeah.
grit and determination.
Yeah. You
And
nailed it.
look, let's
That
be
is
fair,
exactly right.
Everton are not a good team,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
right? Well, they no Calvert-Lewin, didn't even have their main striker out. They had no
Mm-mm.
strikers.
Yeah.
I mean, we are our own worst enemy, sitting on the 18-yard line, and all through the game. And I don't know how many times you've heard this from me this season, but we kept playing out from the back. I don't know if you
Mm-hmm.
watched the game, but it was farcical. It was
Yeah. I kind of listened to it.
absolutely. I was screaming at the TV.
Mm-hmm.
Right, just put the ball away, take the pressure off,
Right. Right.
and we wouldn't. We kept trying to play these triangles in our own box,
Mm-hmm.
and we gave the ball away almost every time.
Mm-hmm.
It was so maddening. It was just like, what are you doing? Well, that too, though, Cal, that too is conditioning. That's what you've been taught to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's okay if you're Man City, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're not,
Right.
right? But you've been told to do that, and that's part of the setup and the formation and the tactics and the strategy that you're given day in and day out. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't even know how to play any differently.
Right. And, what we said is great coaches put their players in positions where they can be successful,
Right.
you know, and did Conte do that, or is Scalini doing that with Tottenham by
No,
asking them to play out of the back
he doesn't know what
when,
to do.
yeah, when
Yeah,
they aren't good at it.
Stellini got the job because most of the players said, we like Stellini. He gets on
Mm-hmm.
with the players. Well,
Mm-hmm.
when you're the assistant manager, the players always like you because the manager is
That's a
the bad
fact.
cop, right?
That's right.
The
That's
manager
right.
is the bad cop, whether you're Conte, Tuchel, whoever. The
That's
manager
right.
is the bad cop. And it's the manager, when he's having meetings with his assistant manager, that says, hey, can you have a word with so-and-so, sweeten him up, do this and
That's
do that?
right.
Because he's pissed with me. He won't listen to me,
That's
right?
right.
Because I'm the manager.
That's right.
So
That's
it's
right.
only going to be one or two more games before the players are going to start getting pissed with Stellini because he is now the manager.
Well, that's right. And when he puts that film up in front of the players for the last, 15, 20 minutes of that match, he's going to be ripping some guys.
Well, he said the
And
same after the game. His post conference pretty much said the same thing as Conte, but he said it in code. He said no personality. What does
right,
that mean? You're saying the same thing. The players have no confidence or no balls, basically.
right,
We have a severe
right.
lack of cojones. There's nothing there,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Personality was the way Harry Kane stuck his foot in that challenge with Decore. Personality is not turning away from a shot by Keane when he's outside the box.
Yeah. Well, just like I'm sick of watching players jump off the back of a yacht during the summer, I'm sick of players, and especially from my own team, posting on social media their lame ass remarks about games.
Mm-hmm.
We're giving it all. Stick with us. No, no, no. We've heard that all season. Pull your
Yeah.
socks up or jog on. Get out of it. It's as simple
Mm-hmm.
as that. You're paid far too much money to garner sympathy from me.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's as
for
simple
sure.
as that. It's as
For
simple as
sure.
that. But these guys, like I read today that Lloris said, we all need to be on board. And that means the medical team, the cafeteria, the groundsman, everybody here needs to motivate and be on board. And I'm like, what are you talking about? No,
Yeah.
no, look, Hugo, it's on you and the other 10 players to create that. You need to, not the freaking dude making the eggs in the morning.
No shit.
I get it, right? A nice company culture is when everybody's happy, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it has to start somewhere. And it ain't going to start with the physiotherapist or the tea lady. It's going to start with the team. When the team's winning, and even if the team's not winning, but they're playing well and giving it all, even as a fan, you can still say, that's fair enough.
That's right.
But when we watch that, you're calling it in. You're not
That's
doing
right.
you're not doing a shift.
That's
And
right.
that is the worst thing that you can do for fans. You don't
That's
put in a
right.
shift because you don't even have a shift. It's not work. So
That's right.
simple as that. And you're not
That's
even
right.
doing that. For that last 20 minutes, we had absolutely no clue what to do.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know how to manage the game, to even get the ball and just take it to the corner,
Mm-hmm.
boot the ball away. No, we still continued triangles in our own box and playing it around the back
Mm-hmm.
and keeping our hands behind the back like we're doing some kind of chicken dance.
Well, yeah, and playing out in the back at against Everton at Goodison Park late in the game just makes no sense because their fans are going crazy. The players are hyped up. They're running hard, playing
Don't,
physical.
don't, don't get me wrong. I want to see us play out the back. That's the kind of football that I like, right? I don't want
There's
to
a
stand up
time and place
Wimbledon
for
from the 1980s, right? I don't want to have to wear a neck brace to go and watch the game because he keep
it. Mm-hmm.
lobbing the ball over the midfield, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're not there. That's not working for us.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the confidence. And when you're set up the way we are, just like our midfield again yesterday got overrun, we can't control the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. But
And
we
when you can't
doing
control the midfield, you can't play out the back. It's
no,
that simple.
and we couldn't do exactly.
I mean,
I mean, if little old Rick Nelson's sitting there watching it on the telly and he can figure that out, these guys have got to be able to figure it out, right? You know
you
what
would
I mean?
hope.
You know. But
You would hope.
look, at the end of all of that, Cal, and I think I may have said this before, right? There is hope, right? Because I look
There
at
is.
absolutely. You can just look within to Arsenal. I look at teams like Burnley and Arsenal, who were shit shows a year ago, right?
Arsenal was probably a shit show a little more than a year ago, but
Yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying, though, right? I mean, there was a
yes,
stage there, not too far in the distant
right,
past, right? 18
yeah,
months, right?
yes,
Where it was Arteta out.
yes,
It was dismal, right?
yes,
You know,
yes,
and Burnley was the same. And I look at,
hmm
I'm just saying, what I mean is this: when I say there's hope, you can look to teams like Burnley and Arsenal and even
hmm
Newcastle, where when you get the right man in or the right person, things can change real quick.
Well, that's right.
You know what I'm
But
saying? That's what I mean.
one thing, yeah, one thing that Arsenal did is bring in new players.
Yeah,
you know, we got rid of Arsenal. Arteta knew who the problem people were in the dressing room, and he got rid of them ruthlessly.
yeah,
He knew the people who weren't committed, and he got rid of them. Didn't matter how much they were
that's
getting
right.
paid or what their role were. Um, so I think for Tottenham to turn it around quick, it's going to take some of that now.
Yeah,
And the question becomes, will Daniel Levy do that? And will he eat contracts if he has to in order to get it done?
yeah. Well, the big contract he'll have to eat is if we don't sell Harry Kane this year,
Well, you're right about that.
because he'll have to.
And I'll take
Kane will go on a freebie.
and let me tell you this. If I was a Tottenham fan, I would be hoping that Daniel Levy would sell Harry Kane and buy Evan Ferguson. That guy is going to be a player. And he is the next great center forward coming up through the English ranks. I love Florian Balogun, don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
But Evan Ferguson, oh my God, that guy is going to be a player. I don't know if you can get him from Brighton or not, but you know, that would, if I was Daniel Levy, I would be all over that. Basically, pay Brighton whatever they wanted for the kid and try
Well,
to build a team around him.
a reset is needed, and it has to happen. And Levy's going to have to give the masses what they desire, and that is a coach that's going to grow with the team. And we're going to have
Mm-hmm.
to have a wholesale
Mm-hmm.
clear out, and you're going to have to give them some time and not be a liar like Todd Bowley, who said, "I will give Potter the time he needs," and then can him after 6 months. So,
Yeah,
no
we all
surprise.
know. Yeah, I was going to say, those of us in corporate America very well know what the equity, what the how much we can believe what comes out of the mouth of private equity.
Yeah,
Okay, so unfortunately, you're not going to be able to change the players over in time for next weekend.
sure,
Who
yeah.
do you play? What you got?
Oh, we got Brighton.
Oh my God!
Yeah. So
Well, I
I
mean,
watched the Brighton Brentford game this weekend. It was a
Brighton
brilliant.
is just they're just having fun.
Well, and Brentford too, right? I mean, they're both of
Yeah.
them. And it was a 3-3 game, and it was like basketball.
Well, I was going to say, you know, Brighton are playing like your five-a-side game
Oh
on
yeah,
Sunday afternoon, where you're barely even keeping score.
yeah. I said to
You
my
know.
son, we were watching the game, and I said, "Well, I don't fancy playing either of these guys." And we got Brighton next week. And after watching the game last night, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
definitely don't want to play them. You know,
Uh huh.
um, it's, well, Brighton's not Everton. And if
That's for sure.
we put that performance in again, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
We lose, and we will lose heavy. Telling you that
Mm-hmm.
right now. Brighton will. It's not Everton, man. Brighton will make.
Where's the game?
Oh, I think we're at home.
Okay, that'll help a lot.
Yeah, but and I think there'll be an interesting crowd response too. You're going to hear
Mm-hmm.
that crowd's going to be very vocal of getting Levy out. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
be showing their displeasure. And I tell you what,
Yeah.
if we go 1-0 down,
Mm-hmm.
you will hear and feel the booze and frustration coming through the telly. Tell you that right now.
Yeah. 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 Arsenal are going to Anfield. A house of horrors for
Yeah,
Arsenal lately.
it's not a great
Uh,
place for you.
and, like I watched some of the Liverpool game today. They look like crap.
They're
They look like
going from
crap.
such a bad spot, man.
They, they look like crap against Man City, but they are Jekyll and Hyde in
Yes.
that at home, they are a power. On the road, they are terrible. They're like on the road, they're almost in the like if you just did a table for road games, they're almost in the relegation zone. And if you did a table for home games, they're third.
Yeah.
So they are a great team at Anfield. And of course, that's where we got to freaking play them. So it's going to be a really, 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 really difficult game for Arsenal.
Yeah.
And you got to think. Well, the good thing is they got the nasty taste out of their mouth from the Man City game, and played a really abject Chelsea side in an abject 0-0 draw.
Yeah.
Almost. I mean, that game today was almost like energy sapping.
Yeah. The Battle of
You know,
Midway.
yeah, the handbags were flying.
Yeah. The Battle of Midway. I mean, it's the middle of the table battle, right? That
Oh,
yo.
that's a fact. That is a fact. It was like two toothless tigers going at it.
Right. Yeah.
Two toothless and clawless tigers. But anyway, unfortunately, at Anfield, they grow their teeth and their claws. So it's going to be a real challenge for Arsenal. A game Arsenal's got to win. And how we're going to do it, I've got no idea. But it should be a fantastic game to
I think so.
watch.
Yeah. I'm going to watch it. Yeah.
because Arsenal is going to go for it, um, and it's going to be interesting to see how Liverpool play. They're going to certainly play hard. They aren't what they used to, especially in the midfield. So it's going to be interesting to see if Arsenal can use some athleticism and skill to dominate the midfield. Because if we can, then we can assert some control over Liverpool.
Come on, Liverpool. Come on, Liverpool.
not a chance. Hey, thanks to everybody for listening. Again, please go to your favorite podcast hosting app and review us, rate us, and hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. Please don't hesitate to follow Rick on ATF Podcast 1 or me at ATF Podcast 2 on your Twitter machine.
Yeah, check us out on our website too, guys. ArsenalTottenhamFanPodcast.com. We've got blogs on there. All of the episodes are loaded. And follow me on Instagram at Arsenal Tottenham Fan Podcast.
Hey, thanks again. Come on, you Gunners.
Come on, Tottenham.